Everyone, welcome to Social Club for another week. We're kicking it off this time around. We're going to talk about Manchester United and whether Jose Mourinho needs to focus on the Europa League campaign after a draw at the weekend. They become the home draw specialist really this season. Sixth, well, you know, fifth, sixth looks more like a realistic league finish for Manchester United. And I'm not just saying that, that is like statistic as well. I'm not enjoying it, only fractionally. So yeah, questions, do they focus on that? And ultimately, why aren't Man United better? To start the discussion, I've got my good friend Chris Pajak here. First and foremost, do you think that this is the point of the season now where Mourinho goes, right, listen, the Europa League is there, it's a realistic way for us to get Champions League qualification because there's no good teams left in that competition, or keep pressing on, as the man himself said, he'll keep going for top four until it's mathematically impossible?
I think he'd be stupid to go focus on the Europa League now when he's got like 3 games, I think it is, before the Europa League. He's got to keep the focus on the Premier League because you don't know what could happen. He could maybe get 9 points from those games. People could drop points around him, and the easiest way of getting in the top 4 might be the Premier League. It might open up again for him. Right now, though, I think you're right. You know, when you look at like percentage chance of top 4, Liverpool are obviously much higher. Manchester United are going to have a little bit of a struggle because they've got some tough games and stuff. But for now, they've got a huge squad. They've got a couple of players coming back after suspension for the match with Everton on Wednesday. They've got to focus on Everton first and foremost. They've got to beat them because, look, Everton will be breathing down their tail if Everton go and do Manchester United over, won't they?
Breathing down their tail? What are you on
breathing
about?
down the necks.
The tail.
Yeah. Fed,
Sorry, I'm just bemused.
I'm sure you'd be happy if they decided to give up on the Premier League.
They won't give up on it on Tuesday night. I know that. When they play us, they'll suddenly find an extra gear.
Zlatan back.
Zlatan is back. Oh, what a surprise that is when they play us.
Kel's surprise.
It's not really a surprise because he had a 3-match ban. He's been banned. Technically, it's not really a surprise.
Yeah, it's a surprise.
I'm not surprised.
No one.
Yeah. No, I'm not sort of surprised because Mourinho he doesn't like to get beat. That's like his default setting, and he'll make sure that if he can't win games, he'll just be really hard to beat. Yeah. That is number one, his default setting. And I think this season it is a transition season for them. They've brought in the likes of Pogba and Zlatan, and it's weird because I think a lot of people thought Pogba was going to be absolutely amazing and Zlatan was going to be terrible. Yeah. I didn't think that. I thought the opposite. Yeah. And it's worked out that way, obviously.
I don't think it's... Well,
no, it has. Pogba's been... I don't care what anyone says.
Terrible.
He has been terrible. He has. I'm sorry, but you can't pay £90 million or whatever it is, and he's been terrible. I'm sorry, for 90 million, he's been terrible. He's had the odd glimpse, and he's looked good. The odd great goal in here. For 90 million, I expect... 8 out of 10 every single week. I expect that, and he hasn't. And I'm sorry, he hasn't delivered. So therefore, he's been terrible.
The thing is, I see that quite unfair to say to Pogba because I saw like a few he's been robbed of so many assists these years.
I don't.
And like that with this year alone, he's got given so many chances that his teammates around him just been messing up.
Well, that's the thing about Man United, isn't it? And you can see Mourinho's frustration boiling over at the weekend when as Conor McNamara has a real go after his question at the end of the game. Because this is the thing, United are. They're banging on the door, aren't they? It's not like they're not creating chances. I take the point to some extent, and I can sense Mourinho's frustration coming from that is because he must be thinking, well, people are calling me a defensive manager, and yeah, if they had a bit more luck, and you know, ultimately, I don't give a shit if they have more luck or not. You know, I don't think they deserve it for the money they spend, but. You know, as you could say, you know, a couple more of those go in, they get a little bit more rub of the green, and the criticisms that are being levelled at him are not valid anymore. I think that's the point.
I agree that they've been very unlucky, and I've picked Pogba out there, but for every Pogba, you've got a Mata, who's really, you know, everyone said he was going out the door. He's really rose to the occasion this season and popped up some really important goals. This summer's going to be huge for them, finding these players that will push not the older ones, but the ones he doesn't really want out. I think that's the most important thing. I think with Mourinho, he doesn't like having players he doesn't want hanging around. I mean, look at the criticism of Luke Shaw. He's just clean.
He doesn't like him at all.
Well, why would you like him? Look at the fucking size of the fat cunt. Honest to God, he's a professional footballer, and he's got an arse bigger than fucking Nicki Minaj. He needs to, you know, I would...
Is that the most current reference you've ever dropped in the studio?
I know Why are we staring at Luke Shaw's arse recently?
I said it all people's arses. I think it's.
You're an arse aficionado.
I think footballers' arses are a it's a really important part of the game that you've got to keep an eye out. If they've got a big arse, it's how you use them. Someone like Kenny Dalglish in the back in the day had a massive arse, but it's how he used it really well, protected the ball. Luke Shaw's just a fat little cunt.
Who's got the biggest arse at Burnley?
Sean
Dyche, yeah.
I mean, this really says a lot that you like rate plays based on arses.
I don't rate them. What I do is I keep an eye on them just to make sure to see what they're doing with their arses. Now, if they've got a fat arse and they don't use it, then there's an issue there. They're just fat. But if they've prepared it, maybe it's fillers, I don't know, and they're using it in the game, then it's a tactic. And I'm down with anything that wins you games. So
it feels to me anyway that Mourinho,
don't come to me after them.
It's got shades, I think, to some extent of Chelsea 13-14. Christian, that was the team that finished third, and they had. Okay, to be fair, like Zlatan has been a revelation this season, but they had Torres, Demba Ba, and I can never remember the third. I can't remember if it was Old Drogba or they had some
Old
Remy.
Like
Remy. Was it Remy? But they didn't have a 25 goal a season centre forward in them. He had the rest of the team set up, largely ready to go, and then that summer he went out. He brought Fabregas, he brought Costa. There's your goals, there's your assists. Sort it all out.
Yeah, I think that, Man United fans will be wanting him to do that, but I don't know. I think there's a mentality thing that Man United have got wrong at the moment. Like, I agree with Ped. Mourinho, throughout his career in the Premier League, in any league he's played in, his point is, I'll take draws against the big teams around me and he won't get beaten and stuff. But that's not what Manchester United are. That's what Jose Mourinho is. Manchester United are a team that used to win at all costs. They used to fight until the 95th minute to get that win under the belt. And whether that's Mourinho's going against their history as a club, I think it might be holding them back a little bit. Well,
it's interesting, Liam, that Man United's win percentage this season is according to Sam Peoples from United People's TV, by the way, so don't blame me if he's wrong. The win percentage this season is 40%, which is their worst since 73-74 when they got relegated.
I think the best way to describe how poor United have been this season is the fact that, from my perspective, I'm a Burnley fan, we've only had 3 draws away this year. Sunderland, Hull and Manchester United. I think that shows how bad they've really been, the fact that they're in the same bracket as Hull and Sunderland. Yeah. It's really bad. I think that it's almost, for how much they've spent this season alone, the fact that they're only 6 is, it's not disgraceful, but it's like, it's just not right on all levels. The fact that
I think that's
it just makes no sense to me how they're doing so poor, because they're making chances.
Don't they when you spend that much money? You make the rod for your own back.
True. It's just I was genuinely annoyed. It sounds like they haven't been making chances. They've been doing really well recently. It's just every single goalkeeper that plays against Manchester United all becomes the best player in the world.
It's like Liverpool sounds so familiar, doesn't it, Chris?
Yeah.
Great.
That's called mid-table mediocrity, Paul. I think that always seems to happen. Man United fans will know about it. We've known about it for years.
Yeah. Ped, I was going to be really unfair there, but it's not fair. You've had a tough weekend.
I'm fine, mate.
Fine?
I'm absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I had a good weekend. I watched Fantastic Beasts. Fantastic film. Continued the Harry Potter series. Lovely. I mean, I can't wait for the second one though.
Beautiful.
Good film.
Very
Except
good.
Eddie Redmayne, he played fucking Stephen Hawking without the limp, basically.
He did, didn't he?
He basically did. He just
yeah.
basically played the same character, which was a little bit annoying.
So,
why would you prefer the limp?
A bit of character, wasn't it? You know what I mean? And added just a little bit of something extra.
Where for Kevin Spacey?
In fact, I mean, if he turned up and gone, these are our fantastic beasts, I think that would have been a better performance.
He comes as a Dalek.
Oh yeah.
Right, it's okay.
You've missed the point.
Crossing the sci-fi genre.
I am. What I like to do.
Just lastly then, Ped, is it wrong to expect more from Man United this season?
I don't think it's wrong, but I think Mourinho has always got a plan, and I think by the noises coming out from them about who they'd like to buy and who they seem very close to buying it, you feel like they are putting it all together. I think some of the signings they bought in the summer were almost like they had to. Like the Zlatan one, he was out of contract, they had to get him whether they needed more or not. They needed him more than they knew. And I suppose the Pogba one, it was a case of they had to make a signal, and obviously we laugh at it, but the fact that the big Adidas thing that pushed it, and that will help generate money for Man United. Mm-hmm. You can't just inherit a team and expect to just throw all the bad players out in one go. You've got to mix and match, and I think it'll take him this summer and maybe one more transfer window to get exactly where he wants it.
That's normally when it goes badly tits
well,
up,
yeah,
and
but
he moves on, isn't it?
I think he's got to be in for the long haul at Man United, and I think people forget. I know you've been speaking about Man United and what they expect, but before they won their first league, Alex Ferguson was throwing a lot against the wall and seeing what was sticking.
Yeah.
And obviously we probably don't have viewers who remember back that far, but it took him a while. It did take him a while to get the right balance in that team. It took him 3 or 4 years of having a little bit of dross and finding the balance, and then suddenly when he found it, it just clicked, and then he got the younger players and just kept on going. And it's easy once you've got a level of player to replace that level of play with the same level. At the moment, he hasn't.
I think the thing they've got going for them, where the Europa League's a better focus, and I'm not saying they're not going to be in the Premier League off yet. I think you're totally right on that, Chris. Is that they still carry that, their name carries weight in Europe.
Yeah.
And carries a fear factor with it. Whereas the problem is, of course, the thing is, you can draw a game over a two-legged game. You know what I mean? Even if it's not your home game, you've got a chance of doing something away from home, whatever. The thing they've got is Old Trafford doesn't have that fear factor anymore. It's the problem Liverpool have struggled with for 20-odd years, is that people come to Anfield and go, well, I'll be bollocks if we're playing footy here because we're just going to get battered. So we're just going to go and defend for our lives. Like, it's the biggest game of the season. And Man United have got that now, whereas teams going, we can get something from this. And I think the Mourinho thing, the fact that he's not that arsed ultimately about getting draws here and there, probably feeds into it. But yeah, don't be shocked if they don't pick up, if they don't, if they win the next 3 on the bounce, it might change things. But if they drop any points between now and then, wouldn't shock me to see them focus on the Europa League. Okay, thanks very much for watching this segment this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've liked it, give the video a thumbs up. If you want more Ball Street, you can click the Ball Street icon. It's there or there on the screen. Let's say there, the Ball Street icon. And if you want to watch more as well, here's a video. Here's Flav. You missed Flav, right? Here's Talking Balls from this week, where he talks about what's happened in the world since Everton last won at Anfield.